Welcome to Breaking Barriers. You know your path. We know the obstacles, and we can teach you how to tear them down. And now your host, CEO and founder of Adapting Social, John Vigero.
All right, guys, welcome back to Breaking Barriers. With me today, we have Brian Tweer. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.
And just so you know, your camera back there, when you going on something, if you want to go in on it, that's your barrel right there, right? So, dude, you were on the podcast before. Yep. We're stoked to have you back on. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, because right now, the state of just where, the U.S., I'll call it, right, when it comes to brick and mortar, has been in such a different place than it was the previous 20 years, right? Brick and mortar was at points where it was thriving, right? And now what I'm seeing over the past, let's call it since COVID, I guess, or even a little bit before COVID, people are going e-com, right? So they're typically ordering things online. You've been able to expand your business, obviously, in the supplement space from, Jersey Shore supplements, obviously. If you don't know, now you know. But, it's like now you have 6 stores. Okay, 6 stores. And, that's my curiosity. So you guys have had some success since 2013, and obviously you're growing like that. So what do you think? So a lot of people, comment in and ask us these questions. So the question that I'm essentially asking you is, what do you think is the key to your expansion in an environment where most brick and mortar is not doing well?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with what you're saying as far as retail kind of trending the opposite direction. Now, in our defense of what I actually think we shine bright in is the fact that I think that the pendulum is swinging back in the opposite direction in the sense of the AI. People are kind of getting away from that. They want that person-to-person interaction. So we've been able to capitalize on looking our customers in the face, shaking their hands, getting them to the finish line, getting them to the goals that they're looking to achieve, and making those connections. We always say if you can make a friend, that one person's going to end up telling two to 4.
100%.
So it's kind of just doubling down on those little aspects of treating the people with respect, letting them know that we see you, we hear you, where on a digital side of things, it's a little bit more difficult. So again, with AI coming full steam, full right at us, it's we're kind of fading that and we're saying, hey, listen, we're going to double down on that person-to-person interaction, that, those connections, those friendships, those relationships, and really solidify the roots. And if you have a strong foundation from there, you could always build on top of that. But without that foundation of those true core people that believe in you, that support you, that through COVID are still going to order, they're going to order through, phone orders if they have to, whatever the case may be. If we have to run the product out to their car, during those times we went through, we saw that, and we saw the people who supported us, and they supported us because we did the little things prior to that, and we're just going to continue doubling down on that, and that's what's been able to allow us to have success to this point. That's
awesome, man. One of the things that's I think so important, right? We've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs over the past 5-6 years, and one of the things that I've seen in asking this question to, and you kind of said it perfectly right there about how hey, if we do right by the customer, they're going to refer us, right? And the crazy thing is, in most cases, if you do right by a customer and you go above and beyond, right, they're happy, right, they're going to come back, right? Ultimately, they'll most likely tell 1 or 2 people. Now, on the opposite side of the spectrum, if somebody's not happy, they typically tell 2 to 3 times more people, right? So it's cool that you guys have that environment where clearly you're doing the right thing. One of our team members, Steven out there, is a huge fan of JSS, right? So, clearly you guys have that following. Now, okay.
No, I was just going to say it's something that you hit on, and we actually look at it in a similar manner. It's sometimes we say the best review that you could get is a 1-star review, in a sense that, hear me out.
To level you up.
To at least, and to at least hear that feedback from a customer. The worst review that you could get is no review.
Totally.
So if you don't know that you did something wrong, and then
I got to hit that one. That was good.
Yeah, if you don't know that you did something wrong, how are you ever going to make amends and make that customer and do right by that customer?
Totally.
So again, it's twofold. Obviously, we want as many 5 stars as we can, but at least a 1-star is an opportunity to get better and help your business get better and grow and do right by that customer.
Yeah, that says a lot about you as a leader, though, right? Because it's not easy to get feedback.
No,
and it's crazy because when you're not in a leadership position, or if you're not, I believe that real leaders create other leaders, right? And there's so many times where when you give people feedback, it's insulting.
Yeah.
Right. So if I was dude, your store's, could be cleaner. I'm not saying that's a fact. I'm just saying an example.
Yeah.
Dude, you clean. It's instead of my stores are clean, right? They're defensive when you give people those things. And when you're looking for that feedback and you're saying what you're saying, I just want people listening to that to really understand, right? Because it's so much easier said than done when somebody gives you hard feedback. and at Adapting Social as an example, like or any of my companies, we're big on that, right? Feedback is a golden opportunity to grow. It's not about how you receive it or how it comes to you. It's about you filtering it and digesting it.
Yeah, I think that's just part of growing up and part of maturing. It's like the ego is an enemy, and you just have to be self-aware.
Yeah.
And when people bring stuff to your attention, instead of putting your guard up and being defensive, like you said, like maybe take a second, absorb that, bring it, like let it resonate, and then see, okay, am I doing whatever it is that person said that I was doing? Can my stores be cleaner? Whatever the case may be.
Yeah. And for the record, not saying stores are dirty as an example.
No, I get it. Yeah. But yeah, it's like, exactly. It's just being self-aware and having the maturity to be able to accept that and improve upon that. Again, it's always like, you're always looking to improve whatever the case may be.
So now, one of the things that I think is so cool is, again, like I talked about brick and mortar space, when it comes to, advice. So I want to ask you a question. So if you were to go back 2013 before you started, knowing everything that you know right now, what advice would you give yourself on day one?
To be patient. I think I lacked patience in the sense that it's just a long road ahead. I struggle with that answer because I'm looking back and it's like a lot of the stuff that I did got me to the point that I'm at, and not saying that I couldn't have done it faster, but there's a reason why you have to go through those trials and tribulations to become the person that you are today.
Right.
So if I don't want to skip those steps. You have to go through that process. But if I was to look back, I would just say be patient and enjoy every moment of it, because I look back still to this day and we talk about the times where I had no customers coming in, like I was laying on the floor in the back in between customers, like taking a nap because it was that slow.
Right.
And you cherish those times where it's like, the problems don't stop; they just become different problems. So it's like
different levels, different problems with those levels,
just
right?
pick your poison. So we look back at some of those times and we laugh about it, and it's like those are the really memorable experiences that we got to go through. And I say it's some of the guys that are still with me to this day. It's like it built me who I am. So it's tough to say that I would skip it. But if I was to just look back and speak to that younger self, I would just say just be patient and enjoy the process.
Or almost in a way like trust yourself, right?
Yeah. Trust.
It's hard. Isn't that hard to do that though in the moment?
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're like, am I making the right decision? For sure. Like you don't know sometimes.
I'm fortunate to say that I think I did a good job in doing that in the sense that I trusted myself, where I had a lot of anxiety as far as like, I wasn't sure where the business was going, but I trusted myself knowing that if I did the right thing for long enough, that will compound into success. And that's what I just doubled down on. I said, listen, like if I have one customer for that day, I'm going to treat that customer the best that I can.
Right.
And still to this day, like I treat everybody with the utmost respect, because I know how valuable anybody coming into our store is to us and what they mean to us. And I just want that to be portrayed through myself, through my image, and then as well, the guys that work with me is a reflection of myself. So I just want to make sure that we're instilling those qualities into the men that we bring on, the women that we bring on, so that they know when they see a customer coming into our store or they interact with them on social media, out in public, whatever the case may be, they know that our guys, girls, JSS, like are willing to do whatever it takes to help them be happy. We'll give the shirt off our back. And I think when I look back at those times, I had that instilled in me in my core to where I did trust that. But again, it's a nerve-wracking experience and situation where you don't know what the next day is going to bring. So it's like you're trusting it, but at the same time you are a little bit nervous, but
and you have to just, I guess to your point, like just kind of trust the process. Which is tough to do when you're in the moment. Like you don't want to anxiety around.
You don't want to hear that in the moment. You want to hear like an answer. You want to hear a definite. Like you want everything.
What do you want me to do?
Exactly. But it's just all part of the process.
Yeah. Now before this, what were you doing?
So before this, when I first opened the store out of college, I was working at LA Fitness. So I was working out at a gym. And then in college, I worked for a supplement store.
Got it.
So I worked for a supplement company for a few years. And I was kind of trying to find myself, like seeing what I was going to want to do. I had saved money from that time period to when I first opened to where I opened that original store with about just under $15,000 that I had saved. Like every dollar that I had, it all went into inventory, that initial down payment for the rent, for the lease. I didn't even have signage, like an awning. I had nothing. I just had like window letters. I didn't do a grand opening. I didn't know any of this. Like this was all a learning experience. Like how did we open? We just put the open sign on and I opened the door and I thought customers were going to come in. That was a rude awakening, like, to go through that process. But again, it's all a learning process. That's what made me go out, putting flyers on people's cars, having to shake people's hands, meeting people, going up to them at the gym. Hey, I just opened this store, so on and so forth. It was just like a really important learning experience. And again, I think being in a retail setting, the skill sets that I've learned in that, being thrown in the fire, are some of the best skill sets that I'm now able to apply to life in general. And I use that with the guys that we bring on in the manner of coaching, and not saying that I'm coaching everybody up, but when I tell them, I say, listen, like when you come and you work with us, I want you guys to learn skills that you could then apply to anywhere in your life. I don't want you to feel like this only applies to JSS, and if I don't work here, I'm never going to use this stuff. Like, no, these are life lessons that I try to give back, because it's stuff that I went through where, again, now I'm 37. If I could help somebody who's 21, 24, whatever the age is that comes on and works with us, I'll save them, a ton of years, ton of, issues that they might face in the future where they could avoid and sidestep some of those things. Yeah.
I love that in the terms of, so like, I like Stoic philosophy, and in Stoic philosophy, there's a lot about how, like, wise men will learn from other men's mistakes.
Correct.
Instead of their own, because you can take any fool can learn from other mistakes. So I love what you're doing there from a leadership perspective. I did notice, so you're a Ravens fan.
Yeah.
Ravens. How did that happen?
Actually, I was a big defensive guy in college. I played linebacker, so I was a big.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ed Reed, Ray Lewis. I liked Miami.
Love all of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're that guy, that was the team to love. At that
and
point.
I fell in love with them early on when I think they were playing the Giants in the Super Bowl, and all my friends and family were Giants fans, and I'd never really cared for the Giants like that, so I kind of was always fading them. And again, the Ray Lewis thing, that's what drew me to that.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
He was a beast for sure. That makes sense. And then I saw on your website, so you like basketball.
Yeah.
So were you a basketball player too, or not?
Yeah, I wasn't a good basketball player, but I just
enjoy shooting.
Anything sports, anything athletic, like anything that's competitive. Like you could put me on a ping pong table and I'll be competitive with it.
So you're just competitor. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. That's how I am.
But yeah, it was any sports, baseball, basketball, football, like the typical three, and then anything outside of that too.
Yeah. So tell me, what is it, like this is typically a tough question, right? But what is it that you feel is holding you back from being the next level of yourself as a leader?
I would say sometimes I lack the self-confidence of like knowing that I have the right answer, but trying to get more opinions involved to try to make people feel more important, included. Yeah, like sometimes I know in my heart like what the right decision to make is. Yeah. And sometimes I lack the sense of urgency. I would say sometimes I think it's like a fine line of being able to be grateful in the situation that I'm in, and then being able to force the pressure and the speed a little bit and kind of increase in that manner. I think that's where I could improve for sure. Like and being more direct with people. Sometimes I lack the
people
ability.
People pleaser?
Yeah, I try to. Yeah, exactly. I'm a people pleaser. Like I like everybody to like me.
Right. That's how I am.
And it's divisive in a leadership role. It's very divisive. Like for me to be able to deliver a hard message, but in a nice enough way to not get you on a bad side, or it's a difficult task. And I tend to be introverted to an extent. Like I'm extroverted when I need to be, but if it was my choice, I'd be home with my family, quiet, like phones off.
Do you have kids?
Yeah, I have two daughters.
2 daughters, okay.
Yeah, ages 4 and 3.
Okay.
About to turn 5, my oldest.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, that's been an awesome experience. Like.
Yeah, I want to touch on that, but before we get there, so for that topic, so for the leaders out there listening to this, or people who are maybe in early phase, dude, it's so tough being a people pleaser in a leadership role or any sort of management role, even in a relationship. Like it's so tough. And so earlier, adapting was my first business, and my earlier adapting days, like I wanted to be the cool boss. Like I want everyone to love me, happy. If I delivered feedback, it was a bullshit sandwich. So it was like, you're great. You suck. You're great. So I love you. So it's like, always got to leave them off on a good note, right? Like, it. So it's like, but it's so difficult, and it's so, like you said, it's very divisive, but it's also bad because it took me, I want to say close to like 8 years of like slowly getting a little better, giving hard feedback to the point where it was like, dude, there's a reason why Steve Jobs, as an example, right, has built one of the companies, the one company on the planet has the most cash in reserves and the most profitable company ever. And it's because he didn't give a shit about feelings. He cared about results. Yeah. And he didn't care. Like he wanted a culture of performers, which means that it didn't matter if like you brought your dog in today. Like it doesn't fucking matter. Like bring your dog. I don't care. Did you perform? And some people look at him like total asshole. Like, dude, like you, like in his book and other memoirs that he has, and people that worked for him, like, this guy is like an asshole. I hated him. Like, he was the worst. There's other people like, that guy pushed me to a peak performance I didn't know I was capable of.
Yeah, yeah.
And anyway, in between, all I'm trying to say out there for people listening to this is, it took me, that would be the one thing, going backwards, if I can go backwards and give myself advice, is like, dude, don't be like, be respected, right? Because people, when you get results and you force your team to perform, you find yourself in a position where they're going to perform better, you're getting results, and results make people happy. Progress makes people happy, not you fluffing shit and like them not growing because like you're giving them bullshit sandwiches. And I had to learn it the hard way.
So I don't know if you found this or if you noticed this, but what I've noticed too is the older I get, and when we onboard now that being said, I have, coworkers that are similar age, but with a wider age gap, I do find it a little bit easier to be more direct in the sense that when I first opened the business, it was a similar ages between peers. Like, it would be me and one of the guys that works with me were the same age. It was a little bit more difficult to be direct. And then the more advanced that I got on the business side of things, like, I am able to be more direct without feeling like I have to tiptoe around everything and every issue. And I don't know if you noticed similar when you first opened.
So it's a good thought process. But also the thing is, for me on my side, it was similar in the beginning, right? And I was like, okay, we're like the same age group, whatever. And then the one thing I started to realize is it wasn't just that for me that started to shift. It was the fact that my executive team is an example here, right? My executive team has been with me for almost a decade, right? And so those people, I was always afraid in a way to hurt their feelings. And like, because I know them so well, we have friendship. They'd be at my barbecues, my family stuff. And it's like, then there's that caused a worse line for me, right? Because it's like, oh shit, the people pleaser in me there is like, I'm going to see them at barbecues. I care about them like they're friends too. But for me, it was about, listen, the more people we started hiring, the older they got, not younger in my case.
Gotcha.
And it came down to that position of like, people are looking at me for answers, right? And like you said, sometimes you're like, do I have the right answer?
Yeah.
Like, am I the right guy for this question? And it's like, but you have to have faith in yourself. And I think over time, I started to realize that like, dude, being a parent, I have a 15-month-old and I have twins in the way. In 12 days, dude, by the way.
Wow.
So I'm at 3 under 2, which would be fun. So those would be fun.
Awesome. Yeah,
you're gonna see a lot more gray hair on me. So, but nonetheless, for me, it started to realize again, it's like being a parent, right? Being a parent, like you don't like the shit in the future you're gonna tell your daughters, and I have to tell my son and daughters, like I'm not gonna be able to give them always what they want, and that's the difficult part about being a parent is that you're not always supposed to do because you want what's better for them. And sometimes that outweighs them being happy with you.
Exactly.
And I just switched that gear for me. Like I said, my first 8 years in, we've been around for 15 years. So whatever that math is. So literally, and then the one thing I actually want to just jump to real quick before I forget is that timeline of like the compounding and being a business thing. The one thing that like is so true. I'm sure you've heard of Alex Hormozy.
Yeah.
Like he says that all the time. Like, and that's so, when the first time I heard him say it, it resonated so deeply with me because he was like, as long as you just don't get out of the industry you're in and the thing you're doing, eventually people will know who the fuck you are. And dude, it's so true. Like, when we sign pretty big businesses, like, that are whether local, tri-state or national, like they're like, oh yeah, we saw you, 10 years ago. Right. And it's like, you're still here, you're still doing it, you're still creating content. And for me, it's like, there were so many times for me where I was like, fuck, like, is this happening? Is this not happening? But I never quit. And to your point, obviously, I think that's similar for JSS, is you guys have been around for now, 10, 11 years.
Yeah.
So, again, compounding, eventually you're going to keep seeing Jersey Shore, no matter what. And then boom, eventually you're going to go there. You're like, these guys have been around for a while. Brian's doing his thing. Yep. So that's really cool.
Yeah, again, it's compounding in the right manner, right? Like doing the right things, exactly what you did for 15 plus years. It's like you're doing the right thing. So eventually somebody's going to notice. Yeah. Just real quick to close the loop on the being direct thing too. I think as we're being more direct with the people that we onboard and the people that we surround ourselves with, I think that then attracts the right people to kind of solidify that message. So it makes it easier. Like you kind of just bite the bullet at first, be direct with a couple of times, and then from there, the people that you start attracting, your 100%. Culture starts to mold. And the culture is always, it's living, it's always breathing and evolving.
Your business is like a child.
Correct. So you lay the line and then it starts to attract the right people.
Totally.
But
totally. With that said, tell me about being a parent to you. So like what legacy for Brian, and obviously what you're doing, like what does your wife do?
My wife also is a business owner.
Okay, cool.
So she owns a Lash and Brow boutique in Bradley Beach.
Let's go.
We actually have...
Shout out to her.
Yeah, we actually have storefronts next to each other, like literally right next door to each other.
Your landlord better give you a good deal.
I'm gonna send them this clip.
For that discount, I'm sending this to you, landlord.
Family discount. So yeah, my goal with them is just to lead by example, to show other people, to show them how to treat other people, to do the right things, to not cut corners when nobody's looking.
Yeah.
And I think that my wife does a phenomenal job with that too. Like she instills a lot of habits and traits in them because they're with her for the majority of the day.
Okay.
And she leads by example with them. I see them already picking up traits that she has and great qualities. So a lot of that pressure is alleviated off my plate where I'm like, all right, like the girls get to follow her lead. And and again, I have a lot of skills and a lot of qualities that I would like them to pick up on that I'm able to pass to them. And most importantly, just having good hearts. I think they're both blessed with my heart and my wife's heart where they feel that I could see that in them, where that's really what's important to me, is for them to leave a legacy in the sense that they're able to impact positively the lives around them.
That's amazing.
That's most importantly to me.
Yeah, that's so important. And I heard the saying, like obviously when I had Johnny, 15 months ago, I heard somebody, I was on social media, but they're like, you have to teach your kids to be good, loving people. Because not everybody goes home to love. Yeah. Which is so, and that crushes my soul. Yeah. Because obviously you know how much you love your kids, and you couldn't imagine somebody not treating, kids other than the way you do.
It's crazy.
The way that what's out there. But yeah, that's really cool though, and it's cool that you both are entrepreneurs too. So that's really sick. My wife and I, we both obviously, she's my chief, financial officer, so she does all of our different venture stuff and finances and stuff.
The kids are getting thrown right into
That's it. They're thrown right in there. So, so where can people find you? So, if people listening in, where can they find you? Where can they engage with you?
Yeah, obviously, Jersey Shore Supplements on Instagram, social media. Myself, my personal page is just Brian Tweer. I'm always happy to answer any questions that anybody might have. And specifically too, I would say, like, if anybody's on the fence about ever checking us out, like the stores, we offer free meal guides in any of the stores, free sample support, free in-body readings. So
that's huge.
Yeah, we're always willing to help. You guys don't have to come in to make a quote unquote purchase. Like just come in, check us out. And
my brother's doing the 10K challenge.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, exactly. You'd be surprised at how unintimidating the stores can be, because I know there's a misconception a lot of times at supplement stores. They're intimidating. It is. Right. It's like it's not an easy experience to walk through the door. We try to make it as comfortable and as friendly as possible, to where we want to be able to help as many people as we can. So I would say just check us out, Jersey Shore Supplements, on social media, and then one of the 6 locations would be best, and we're always happy to help.
Love it. Dude, thank you so much for being here, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Time is one asset we don't get back, so you spending it here with me today means the world, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Awesome. Bam.